Giant Orange Records.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Giant Orange Records. My name is Stefan, and I'm always looking for the next great record. Today, I'm doing something a little different. I'm going to show you 5 records from my collection that I will never part with. Not because they're the rarest or the most valuable, but because each one has a story that's woven into my life. Let's jump in. 1. World of the Zombies, signed in 2006. This one goes back to when my old band, the Explorers Club, opened for the Zombies at the Music Farm in Charleston. It was part of Little Steven's Underground Garage Rolling Rock and Roll Show, which already sounds like a fever dream today. We were all squeezed into this tiny green room with the band. I ended up talking to bassist Jim Rodford, the guy who played with the Kinks from the late 70s through the mid-90s. And while we're talking, the house music is playing quietly in the background. I hear da-na-na-na-na. I look at Jim and say, "Hey, that's You Really Got Me." "Do you think I don't know that?" he said instantly. We both just lost it laughing. I don't actually remember hardly anything else about that night, but I remember that moment. And the band graciously signed this record, some on the front, the current members, and some signed the back. And weirdly enough, this exact pressing isn't listed on Discogs, but this one is staying with me forever. 2. The Clientele, Since K Got Over Me 45. Now, I thought this record was signed, but it's actually not. So the first time I saw The Clientele was on the Strange Geometry tour after I'd been wearing that CD out all summer. This was at the Long Gone Village Tavern in Mount Pleasant, basically Charleston, and I ended up chatting with the band while they were loading in. They were hilarious, super smart, and instantly likable. After the show, I told Mel, their keyboard player at the time, how much I loved the set and how great she was. She looked at me and said, "You should buy some merch then." Very dry, very British, very perfect. I was basically broke at the time. I'd spent almost all my money just getting in the door, which was maybe $15, but I scrapped together $7 for this 45, and I even grabbed the set list from the band, and they had a new song on here called Disco, or at least that was the working title, and that later became Bookshop Casanova. Live, this band absolutely obliterates their own recordings, and the recordings are already transcendent. So this 45 is a little time capsule of that night. The Modern Lovers. This is the 1986 reissue, signed by Jonathan Richman. This one is funny. Jonathan Richman signed it for me, and he misspelled my name. He wrote it with a PH, then crossed it out and rewrote it with an F. He kind of shrugged, classic Jonathan, because he doesn't really like playing the old Modern Lovers material anymore. At the show, he was touring as a duo with a drummer, and he didn't touch any of these songs. But the show is still incredible and totally Jonathan, and this goofy crossed-out transcript makes the record even more personal. 4. The Troggs, Wild Thing, from the John Allure collection. Here's the one that's the hardest to explain, but I finally figured out how to say it clearly. So, in a nutshell, this copy of Wild Thing belonged to John Allure, the original singer of the Grass Satchels, later known as the Satchels, a band I joined after he passed away. I never met John, but through his music and the people who loved him, he became someone I feel like I know. Okay, so here's the full story. In late 2018, I saw a local band called the Satchels at a bar and was blown away. They were playing all this stuff I loved. The Kinks, The Who, The Beatles, The Pretenders, plus a handful of originals that totally ripped. Their original singer, John Allure, had passed away a few months earlier. Maybe it was like a year earlier, I don't quite remember. But the band had been called the Grass Satchels back in the 90s and beyond. John's brother Tom was the drummer. After John's passing, they went on a short hiatus, regrouped, and eventually added a new rhythm guitarist, and they all split the vocal duties. After seeing the Satchels, I offered to play keyboards, and eventually they invited me to sit in on one song, Them's I Can Only Give You Everything. We ran through it about 3 times, and it sounded good, so I started to pack up. But Shecky, their lead guitarist, goes, "Hey, why don't you play on this next one? And this one. And actually, you can jump in on this next one too. It's only 4 chords, you'll figure it out." And suddenly, I was in the band. John and Laura had always wanted to play 96 Tears, but they never had a keyboard player. So when I joined, we added it immediately. It felt like finishing something he started. Tom's wife said she could feel John's presence in the room when we practiced that one. What a magical feeling. Over time, Tom gave me a handful of John's old records, including this Trogs album. When I played it for the first time, the song Our Love Will Still Be There stopped me in my tracks. I even brought it to my original band, the Electric Splash, and said, "We should cover this." At the next Satchels practice, I mentioned it to Tom, and he said, "Oh yeah, we used to play that one with the Grass Satchels." I just froze. Everyone who knew John tells me we would have been best friends. Same humor, same references, and exactly the same taste in music. It's eerie in the best possible way. So this record isn't just a record, it's a connection to someone I never met but somehow understand. This one is never ever leaving my collection. 5. The Golden Dawn Power Plant 2008 reissue. So the first time I heard the Golden Dawn was at a wild after party following a show my friends did with a Charlotte band called Paint Fumes. We're at this house, it's late, everyone's buzzing with that post-show energy, and their drummer, who also worked for Light in the Attic Records, starts playing this cool music off his iPod. Yes, these were prehistoric times. And then this sound hits me. It's garage, it's psych, it's raw but melodic, and it's like someone took everything I love and distilled it into a record I somehow had never heard. The next week I go to this tiny, short-lived record shop in West Ashley. They didn't last more than 6 months. But sitting in the bins was this 2008 reissue of Power Plant, sealed for $10. I grabbed it so fast I almost levitated. This thing has been played a lot. Even if I ever get an original pressing, this 2008 copy is staying with me forever. So there you go, 5 records I'll never ever sell, not because of the monetary value, but because they've become part of my story. If you enjoyed this, hit like, drop a comment with your never sell records, and subscribe if you want more Giant Orange vinyl deep dives. Thanks for watching, and keep spinning.
Giant orange, giant orange, giant orange, giant orange.